Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, I'm going to react to, is Texas becoming the new California? Now this is going to be an interesting one to watch because from what I've seen and heard, there has been a massive influx of Californians into Texas. People moving for, maybe quality of life reasons, maybe real estate reasons, maybe it's policy reasons, but there's been a lot of people leaving California for Texas. And invariably, if a lot of those Californians retain the way they think, you're gonna kind of see a shift in the population thought processes and attitudes. You're gonna see it kind of become more Californian. So I'm interested to see, has there been any visible difference so far, and what can we expect to happen in the future? So this is gonna be a fun one to watch, so let's do it.
What do Elon Musk, Hewlett-Packard, and Joe Rogan all have in common? In the last year, they've all announced they're ditching California and moving to the same place, Texas. Since 2020, we've seen story after story of companies, celebrities, and regular people fleeing California. Some went to Hawaii, others Florida, but the place we've been hearing again and again is Texas.
Yep.
The big move might be surprising at first. After all, California is the land of promise, beautiful landscapes, beaches, mountains. It was the home of the gold rush and the Hollywood boom. Even just in the past 30 years, Silicon Valley has created unimaginable wealth and opportunity almost out of nothing. So why leave a state like that? And why go to Texas of all places? It's a bit different than California, to say the least. The culture, landscape, and government, wide open ranges of cattle ranches and oil wells, focused on an old school way of life.
To be honest, if I was a Californian and I was paying a mortgage on $1 million 3-bedroom property, and someone told me that I could get a 5-bedroom house, much more square feet, for half the price, I'm leaving. Come on. That's got to be a big reason.
Going to church, working with your hands, and
Touchdown!
lots of football, of course. More than anything though, Texans are known for their independent, self-reliant spirit. It's a far cry from the stereotypically image-conscious, highly regulated Californian. It's safe to say that Californians who head to Texas are going to be in for a bit of a culture shock. The question is though, with all these outsiders pouring into the Lone Star State, will Texas be able to maintain the qualities that made it so attractive in the first place?
Yeah.
Texas is unlike any other state in the Union. When the land was still part of Mexico, Texans declared independence, forming their own country to escape restrictive government control. That spirit is now reflected throughout its culture, business practices, and government. The state collects 0 income taxes. The legislature is only required to meet...
Hold on, what do you mean? 0 income tax? So when someone who's on a salary gets paid, they pay no tax, or do they pay federal tax? How many different types of tax are there? Because here in the UK, you have to pay tax and then national insurance. Are there more than one tax in America?
once every 2 years. And if you ask any native Texan, they'll probably have some strong words about the government getting involved in their business. You've probably heard the saying, everything's bigger in Texas. Well, it certainly rings true. Big trucks, big food, big cattle, big boots. If there's something worth making, it's worth making big. Recently, the cities in Texas have been following suit. Take Austin, for example, one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas over the last 10 years. Once known for the University of Texas Longhorns and Willie Nelson, today it's the home of a cutting-edge restaurant scene, a growing tech industry, and a litany of music, art, and film festivals. The food and nightlife on 6th Street became more and more like the Sunset Strip in LA or Valencia Street in San Francisco, rather than Central Texas. Companies like Apple, Tesla, Facebook, Oracle, and AT&T have all built large offices there. Some, like we said, have committed to permanently relocating their headquarters there. All of the growth in business and culture has led to Austin ranking as one of the 10 best cities to live and work, as well as one of America's coolest towns. With fame, beauty, wealth, and style, California was always the popular kid in school among the states. The land of opportunity where people went to make their dreams a reality. As the most heavily populated state, it's clear that a lot of people went chasing after their dreams. As Texas rises in the rankings, however, California's position as the top place to live has faded. The ambitious no longer move to Hollywood or Silicon Valley to get their start like they used to. Hollywood has become decentralized as film and TV productions have moved elsewhere around the country and abroad. Tax breaks in other states have made LA studios less and less relevant.
Yes, it's true. It's really true. And okay, so let's say that you are trying to make it in the entertainment industry. If you know that there's a mass exodus of studios from California, why would you go to California? Because you're going to have to pay so much money to find somewhere to live. if you can go somewhere cheaper, I've heard Atlanta, there's a lot of big studios there now. And I imagine the cost of living in Atlanta is way lower than that in California. California's got a problem on its hands. I think it really needs to do something to get people back and get people to stay. Based on what I've heard, that is anyway.
California isn't the only place making movie magic anymore.
All of these award-winning blockbusters weren't filmed in California. They were made here in Louisiana.
Many tech jobs that once required reporting into a Silicon Valley office can now be done remotely, a trend that was drastically accelerated by the pandemic of 2020. California's job magnet has weakened, and increasing government regulations have caused many businesses to turn away. In many cases, a business has to invest tens of thousands of dollars before they can even begin the long process of obtaining government approval.
What? Hold on a minute.
Tens of thousands in government regulations have caused many businesses to turn away. In many cases, a business has to invest tens of thousands of dollars before they can even begin the long process of obtaining government approval.
But why? So you have to invest tens of thousands before you can even start earning any money? But why though? Why?
Farmers in California, the nation's largest agricultural producer, face ever-increasing control and environmental regulation on their equipment and practices. It's not just the job market or regulations that have made California less attractive in recent years. Some other, less than pleasant issues have also dropped on the scene.
The problem of human waste in the city is getting worse.
It's not uncommon to be walking around in any part of San Francisco and see a big pile of human feces.
New laws like Proposition 47 have dramatically changed life in California. Kamala Harris served as the state attorney general at the time it was passed, and she titled the new law the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. Now, under that law, crimes that used to lead to arrests are now classified as minor offenses. The consequences for felony drug possession and theft have been reduced dramatically as a result. This has led to fewer addicts getting help, increased homelessness, and a massive surge in crime. Take a look at these videos of drug use in public spaces and public transportation.
Oh my God!
This video.
Oh my God! What was that? This guy here.
Transportation.
In April, this video went viral. Video of drug addicts shooting up in the Civic Center BART station as commuters walked by. Now, another series of videos emerging, all showing this unidentified person smoking meth. We've seen videos featuring the same person riding BART on 3 different days.
In one case, when an individual was recorded repeatedly smoking crack in public, police were powerless to intervene.
Okay, you all right? Do you need anything? You need some socks?
Drug overdose deaths have increased 53% since California passed Prop 47 in 2014. Theft has also exploded, with grocery and convenience stores experiencing daily attacks. Police no longer even arrest criminals because of the new law. The San Francisco Chronicle reported that Prop 47 led to more crime than...
Okay, so regarding this Prop 47, is there a monetary threshold that would initiate an arrest? For example, is it goods under $1,000 that don't warrant an arrest? Like, what? Can someone just briefly explain it to me? Because based on what I've heard, it sounds ridiculous. I don't understand why they introduced it. Like, I need to do a bit more research into it.
If the law had never existed. California's bright light is fading. This leads to what we're seeing now. California is currently experiencing a real exodus. In 2020, the state had its first ever decrease in total population. Fewer people are moving in, and people are moving out by the thousands. A poll conducted by the Berkeley Institute of Governmental Studies found that more than half of California residents are considering leaving the state. For the hundreds of thousands who do choose to leave, Texas is currently their #1 destination. Even illegal immigrants are choosing Texas over California. The Sacramento Bee reports that the illegal immigrant population in Texas is growing 5 times faster than California's. A study by the Manhattan Institute found 4 main problems are causing the flight: economic adversity, overpopulation, high unemployment rates, and the government's fiscal instability. Many of the California migrants arriving in Texas are simply fed up with what life has become on the West Coast.
What's even more surprising has been the movement of the foreign-born. Los Angeles is now losing foreign-born population. The Bay Area is pretty stagnant. Meanwhile, foreign-born population in places like Dallas is going through the roof. Up 30% in a decade.
City Journal reports that many Californians are fleeing the high cost of living as well as the exhaustion.
Do you know what's interesting though? Like, eventually, based on what I've heard here, Texas will become like California because so many people will go there. Property prices will rise, employment and employment opportunities will fall because ultimately there's only so many jobs that you can create in a place. Like, eventually California will, you know, its financial abilities, its pull will drop to the point where they will need to do something to attract more people. So maybe they'll introduce financial controls on rents, stuff like that. If eventually it's like a seesaw sort of situation going on.
Costing policies that have come to define the Golden State in recent years. Beyond individuals, a survey of 200 executives by the Pacific Research Institute found California to be a hostile destination for businesses because of exhausting red tape and regulatory hassle. CNBC reported that at least 230
Don't California my Texas.
37 companies left California for Texas in 2020 alone. For 14 years and counting, Chief Executive Magazine ranks California as the worst state to conduct business.
Whoa.
The number one spot on that list? Texas. With the huge numbers of people moving in from the coasts, many Texans are concerned about how their state might be changing. There are massive cultural differences between Silicon Valley and the Rio Grande Valley.
Yeah, people are really worried about all folks like me moving from California.
Yeah.
Worried. They're worried about.
You know what's funny is that we come one, come all. Give me your tired, your poor. Come on to Texas, but you got to understand something.
Yeah.
You're coming here because of low taxes and low regulation, and you want to live your life in liberty and make sure that you can protect yourself and protect your family, and that means you have to vote a certain way, and that's why we kind of are Texas.
Don't turn this place into what you fled.
That's exactly right.
When big tech companies set up shop in Texas, they bring more than jobs. In many ways, the political tendencies of Silicon Valley are transplanted into Texas. Many have been asking whether changes in cities like Austin or Dallas will impact the rest of the state, particularly the politics. While Texas is still solidly red, there have been recent trends that indicate the state might not always vote Republican. Ted Cruz, for example, won his 2012 Senate election by a wide margin, beating his opponent by nearly 16%. It wasn't as easy though in 2018. The margin shrank to just 2.5%. Same story on the presidential side, where the Republican edge has tightened drastically. Texas controls a big chunk of the Electoral College. If the entire state falls victim to these bad policies and turns blue, it would flip national politics on its head forever, all but ensuring that those bad policies end up everywhere. Over the past few years, there have been moments when Texas looked more like California than its usual self. Many problems that have plagued the West Coast have started to pop up in Texas. Homelessness and crime are on the rise, and the cost of living is skyrocketing in some places. Let's look at Austin again. Like San Francisco and Los Angeles, Austin has seen dramatic spikes in homelessness, increasing by 54%.
What do you guys think is the answer to homelessness? Because I've been thinking about this for a couple of days, and I don't know. Like, maybe if you could construct some really cheap subsidized housing, like tiny little box rooms, just so people have a permanent address for a while so that they can then get employment. But the drug addicted homeless, I'm not sure how you would help them, because ultimately they need to want to get off the drugs before they can, get off the drugs, I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts and feelings are on this.
Since 2011. What had been a growing and beautiful city is quickly turning into a dystopia. It started with tents under highways, then spread to the parks and lake. Now, homelessness is seen almost everywhere. One Austin resident said that the homeless population is encroaching on her property.
Every day we have fires, there's verbal assaults, there's the smell of drugs, there's the smell of burning plastic.
In the summer of 2020, Austin followed the lead of cities like LA and San Francisco when it announced a plan to cut the police budget by $150 million. Fox 7 reported that the number of murders for Austin in 2020 was the largest in 2 decades. And so far in 2021, the murder rate has increased by a staggering 74%.
Oh my God.
6th Street had become a vibrant place to party where everyone could go out at night.
Oh my God.
Now it has to be avoided due to muggings and shootings. Californians moving to Texas are having a significant impact on life in the Lone Star State. There have been many benefits, like the surge in job opportunities from relocating businesses and increased spending at local stores and restaurants, but there are also new difficulties that are affecting daily life and safety.
People came to California to build up their lives, to build their families, to buy a house, to move forward, reinvent themselves. That's becoming harder and harder.
People are moving away from bad policies, but sometimes forget to leave them behind when they do. The Texas landscape could look very different over the next few years as waves of Californians move out in caravans of Teslas and BMWs. If this has native Texans feeling a little blue, it's for good reason.
Wow, really interesting. I'm torn because it felt like the narrator and the people behind that video clearly have a certain affiliation politically. I'm not sure if they were completely unbiased. However, there were some key pieces of information that are hard to dispute. You know, the fact that the murder rate in Texas has almost doubled is how do you explain that? Like, obviously people aren't, you can't, I'm not sure if you can point to the fact that it's Californians coming into Texas and committing all these murders. I don't think you can say that, but perhaps there is a correlation to be found somewhere. I don't know, let me know, like, any people that live in Texas, like, let me know if you feel like Texas is changing and you can kind of affiliate that change to the Californians coming in. I'd really love to know what you think. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.